Alex, we're glad to have you here. To everyone tuning in, please let us know where you're calling in from. Throughout the next 45 minutes or so, Alex and I are going to go deep into Softr databases and Softr interfaces. We're going to go in the beginning, just quickly, high level, database, relational database, fields, field types. Then we'll get into a Softr template that we're going to be using for the order management system. We're going to go over that database and how that's structured. We're going to add a new table and put together all those fields. And then in Softr, we're going to go into the template and create a new interface for the new table that we added to bring it all together. It's going to be a really fun one. We're going to be taking questions along the way. We have people calling in from New York, London, Orlando, Florida, the Philippines, Canada on Canada Day. Thanks for joining us there. So we appreciate all of you being here. A quick poll going out to everyone. Have you used Softr Databases yet? It is our new product. Really excited about it. Huge performance increase from the typical Airtable, whatever. I think it's greater than 10x the performance increase. So really loving that. And just tons of awesome foundational improvements come with Softr databases, such as live refreshes of your data in the background, inline editing, and many other foundational things that we couldn't normally do when we were working directly with the API. But now that we own the data layer, we can do so much more foundationally for your apps in a performance and flexibility standpoint. That's really just opening the doors for us. So we're going to be going over Softr databases today, showing you how it works. Most of you haven't used it yet, which is great because we'll show you how to use it today. So really excited about that. Alex, why don't we get started? How's that sound?
Sounds perfect. And the good news for those who haven't played yet with Softr databases, it's like everything else in Softr. It's self-explanatory and it's very intuitive.
Yeah, I think so too. Excited to show it to the rest of the folks here. So in the call today, we'll be going over introductions quickly. Then we'll talk about the app that we're building, and then we'll just do a lot of building and answering questions along the way. I am JJ. I lead our community and education here at Softr. I've been in the no-code space for quite a while now, building everything I can with no-code and AI. And I'm joined with Alex, my longtime colleague. Alex is a co-founder over at 9X, the founder of the Builders Club Conference, and many other things. Anything else you want to add into that, Alex? You teach no-code AI to people all over the world and many other things.
No, pleased to be here. Like, yeah, we teach. Like we started with no code, and now we added AI to training component. There's two sides of it. One is AI automation. So if you are long-time users of no-code platforms, they allow you to use AI, and this is one part that we teach. But we also teach most people now prompting, so very basic AI skills, which you think are fundamental.
Definitely fundamental in today's age of AI. So looking forward to that. So for our order management system, it is a template that you can get from Softr. So you can go to Softr templates. We have, I think, over 100 different templates. You grab the order management app, and now this app comes with Softr interfaces and Softr databases just combined. It's a really simple experience. You don't need to go whip up an Airtable account or anything like that. So that's really cool. So for this app, we are the owners of a restaurant, and we're using this app to manage our food inventory. So for example, say we are selling burgers and lobsters and all that kind of stuff. We need to place orders from our wholesaler to deliver those goods to us in order to, make that food for our customers. Now we have a couple different tables, which we'll talk about in detail together. And we're also going to create a new table, which is going to be for returns. Say food is brought to us, and for some reason it spoiled on the way or anything like that, we could submit a return back to the wholesaler saying, hey, this box of crabs is no longer good, kind of thing. And we want to track that. And we want that to be reflected in our inventory levels and also as, funds that are being pending and credited back to our account. So that's the app that we're going to be building today. We're going to get straight into Softr databases. But before that, Alex, why don't you just take us through databases at a high level and some of the key concepts for fields, rows, records, field types, etc.
Let's go. Screen sharing glitch. App. And there we go. All right. So databases 101. And I won't bore you with too much details, but like if you're absolutely new to databases and you're going to play with software databases, you have to understand it's a very powerful tool, but there's a few rules that apply and that you should be aware of. And we're going to cover these very briefly. So when you're going to use a software database, you are using under the hood what we call a relational database. In a relational database, the principle is that if you take something in the real world, like for instance here we have an order management setup, we may have restaurants, we may have dishes, we may have orders, we may have customers. So you take things that exist in real life, you translate these inside a database, you're going to end up with tables where you store those different things. And you're going also to have to elicit the relationship between those tables, like the little connections you see here. So there's not many things to cover, but there's a couple of important choices. And if it's the first database you're going to import, it might be a little bit overwhelming. So here are the important concepts you should know about relational databases that are going to make these questions or these design decisions easy. So we're going to see, so what's a schema, what are tables, fields, records, and finally relations. It's going to go quick. Schema. Schema is what sort of like is the overview of all your data tables. So when you are looking at a new database, when you're going to download or import a new Softr database template, there's going to be existing tables. And the first thing you're going to take a look at is the schema. Like what are the different tables? How are they linked to each other? That's the highest level. Then inside the schema, you're going to have the different tables. So here in this example, we have 4. And tables are going to store very different things. So in our order management app that we're going to see in a minute, we'll see that there is a dedicated table for orders, because that is a thing on its own that is different from a restaurant or a customer. And so the first design decision we'll have to make when designing a table is, do we need a table for that? How many tables do I need to store what? Then inside tables, there's just 2 things you need to know. They have fields and they have records. So fields, those are the different properties we're going to store. Here again, if we take the example of an order may have an order number, an order may contain several dishes or several ingredients, an order may be linked to a customer. These are properties that make sense to store in an order table, but for a customer, this doesn't make sense. For a customer, you're going to store rather an email or their full name, or eventually maybe the orders they are placing. So you decide first the table, you then decide which fields. And each fields also have a type. We're going to see this in a minute in Softr. It's not like in Excel or Google Sheets where you just store information and you can store dates or numbers, it doesn't matter. Like there are not strict rules enforced. You will see that in Softr. When you decide that it's a date field, you can only store dates in a particular column. And that's going to help us keep our data tidy. Last, so if we have fields on that side of the table, the different properties we're storing, you have also rows, and the rows are the records. And so each row in the orders table is going to be an order. Each row inside the customers table is going to be a customer, and so on and so forth. And finally, and this is the thing that requires a bit more practice, and we'll have probably one example in the build. Once you have those tables defined, you also need to define how they relate to each other. And for that, we're going to see that there's a specific field where we can elicit and define those relations. And so, for instance, in our app here example, orders, if customers are to place orders, we should probably link those tables and define that relationship.
Well done. You simplified it pretty well. Let me pull up my screen and then we'll continue with creating this template, showing you how to do it. So here I am in Softr. And now we see updated on the left-hand side and a little spoiler for workflows here as I'm getting to play around with it in alpha.
Oh,
really
my
cool.
God. My God.
So a true full stack
Leak.
nature in apps, databases, and workflows. And here we are in apps, and we're going to go start with template. I'm going to type in the order management, and I'm going to preview it, and that looks pretty good. And so now I'm going to use this template, and now it's going to bring in software interfaces and databases just together, and it's locked and loaded and ready for us. So here is a template that we have, and you can see over here, if I click on this block, it shows me the data source that I have for this block, which is automatically mapped to our software databases block. Now, I am going to, I'll just invite you to the app real quick, Alex, so then you can see it as well on your side with this new app. So I'm going to pull it up here. Oh, you should be already good. All right, there we go. You already added. And so we're going to just do this. I'm going to say demo with Alex so we know which app it is. And now over here on the left-hand side, we have our navigation. So we have a dashboard, we have products, customers. Here we have a table. And now with the table, we have all these different fields. And I did want to show you that with the software database source in the fields, you can go into the table and allow inline editing and now actually edit these items within inline without having to pull up additional modals for that as well. So this is one of the features that software databases allows you to do is inline editing, and it's really great. Beyond that, you'll just notice that everything is just quicker using software databases, whether it's in the studio mode, the preview mode, etc. Here we are just looking through the application that we're going to be building. And we have a couple different user groups that we're going to be building for in mind. And so we have our customers, our warehouse managers, and our sales reps. And so customers, let's think of these people that that are buying from us in this sense. The warehouse managers, which are the suppliers, and then the sales reps, which are the wholesalers that we're buying from in that way. So it's three different groups. Maybe those groups don't all make perfect sense for our use cases, but just to go show you a little bit more, if we go into users and we go into user groups here, we have dynamic user groups all that are, you can tell it's dynamic because it says condition based. And what condition based means is that we are saying, hey, this user falls in this user group if the role equals customer. All right. And so you could choose it to be manual or condition, but really it's best practice to have a dynamic user group there. So that way, whenever your user falls within that group or falls out of that group, they then belong within that user group and the related permissions. So here we have our interface, and then also we can just connect straight to our data layer right here, and we'll go in and see our database there. All right. Alex, why don't we talk a little bit through the tables that we have powering this, and then we could stay here to create our new returns table. How's that sound? Cool. I'll take that as a and so here we have our basic user table. And in this user table, we just have 5 different examples here. And the big thing that I want to call out is our role. And so each one of these are records, as Alex discussed with us. So we have a table, which is our users, and then we have different records. And each of those, and then these fields, where name is a field, email is a field. And for example, role, if I go to edit that field, I can see the field type is a single select, which allows me to select one of these items right here. Now, if I wanted to change this, there's a ton of different field types in software databases. So, number, currency, ratings, relationships, lookups, rollups, record info, all this kind of stuff. So there's a ton of things to switch to, but a single select is really good in my condition. And so it allows me to pick one of the 3. And again, these roles are being linked back to our user groups. And so if a customer, Mohammed is in the customer group and we switch it to a representative, then they'll be synced to the representative user group in Softr automatically. We also see a relationship here. And so this is a related record that is linking back to the customers. And the customers in this sense are wholesalers, people that, we're buying from. And so we see cultured eats and synthetic meats, etc. And we see, all them in that way. And so we have a relationship here. And so instead of creating a company here and a company there, we just create the company here and we link to the company back on the user table to make sure that the data is only created once and we're able to reuse it in a couple different ways. Any questions on your side, Alex?
Correct me.
All right, so
Is the
that's
mic
good. I would, what's
is
up?
my mic working? Yeah,
Yep.
okay, okay. I was
Yeah.
struggling a little bit to. No, one important note. This like if things have not changed drastically in software with that standpoint, you will need one table for all your users. Is that still correct? How you
Yes.
should build it.
Yep.
So that's one by design. The pattern you see here is very it's very universal. If you're going to have multiple user groups, you will have one user table where you store all of them, and actually the what you showcase is very convenient way to just associate or allocate people to the right user group. Don't start having a table admin users and then another table users and then another table beta users. Is not going to work.
Yeah. So we have our table here, and I just want to call out some of these things here. So we have a default view. So if we want to create a new view, for example, and we'll say this view is for our customers, and then we can go and filter this and say, the role is customers. And then that way, this view will only show us our related customers or the filters within that view. And then I could switch back and forth. So, for example, if I wanted to prepare some data to send over to Alex and say, hey, Alex, here's all of our active customers right here. Just check out this view customers. He'll be able to see exactly what I'm looking for in that shared way. So views are really handy and really, powerful. It allows you to, showcase your data in many different ways in that sense. We also have the filter conditions, which I just use for the view, but this allows you to really get deep into, how you want to show your data or work with your data. And we also have the ability to do groups and conditions on top of that to create really advanced kind of filtering for your data. Again, it's your data. We want you to be able to use it however you need to use it and to find those insights in your data as easy as possible. And this makes it super easy.
One very convenient use of views, if you start having a process that is managed inside one table, for instance, your orders of different statuses, and you want to look at unprocessed orders, for instance, or open returns, is to just play with the status and create that view that only shows you the orders that still need processing. And so suddenly views become sort of like an inbox. You just want to make sure these are empty, which means everything's processed.
Well said. There's a couple of questions that I'm looking at here in chat. One is around the Software Database API. I will say that it is coming available this week. The Software Database API essentially means that you can use in the early stages endpoints within like Zapier, Make, NAN to trigger updates happening in software databases. I got access to it yesterday. It's really powerful and really cool. We're going to be releasing it later this week to everyone with some instructions on how to use it. And then we'll follow up with some of the built-in automation triggers in the automation platforms in the next couple of weeks too. So want to make this database as powerful as possible for you. I will note that our API record limits are already 4 times that of Airtable and some of the others that we're used to using. And it's really powerful. There's over 20 different endpoints that you can use with the Software Database API, such as like even creating an entire database or creating fields or anything like that. Like you really can get into the very detailed positions of that. So that's really, really cool. James, why don't we come back to that after the fact? You're saying you're hitting some errors with the Postman. Maybe a conversation we can have together afterwards. All right, so we have our users table, we have our customers table, we have our orders table, and so these are all the orders that are placed and they're linking to the related products that we service or have. So like these are the products that we have on our menu, and these are maybe the current inventory level. And so when we order a new order, we're looking at, the amounts that we're, bringing in and also the products coming in and the inventory of that. And then this is kind of synced and we have related orders there. Now, the next thing that we want to do here is create a returns table. And so for that, we'll click over here to create a new table. And we have a couple different options. Add blank table I don't think everyone will see all these options yet. A couple of these are coming soon. But we have add a blank table. generate with AI, import from CSV, which is available, and then soon everyone will get access to import from Airtable, which is a one-click Airtable import. You take a whole Airtable base and it'll import into Softr Databases with all the relationships, all the lookups, the rollups, the formulas included. It's quite wild. That's coming to the public in a couple of weeks. But until then, we're going to go a blank table, and we're going to call this, I'm just going to double click and say returns. And so, Alex, when we're looking at this returns table, what are some fields that we should look at adding here?
So I have the classics of like when the return was created. I don't know if you have like any database generated field like created by, created at. So these are, I love those fields because they're capturing information that's generated by the database itself. So you don't have to fill anything there. You can just add these, and whenever a record's created, you're going to see that. Very nice to see also that the date can be expressed relatively. So it's not storing text here. Software is just making it much more human readable, much more concrete. So this was a return created today. Created by, if we have a process where it needs to be created by different people, or we want to have questions about this return, just drop the field, and then suddenly you know who to ask for. Now, the question around the returns is what is the process there? So if there's a status, like status is one of my favorite fields in any database table, because the status is really going to indicate how do we split the process? Like what is the initial state of a return? What is potentially the middle stages, and what is the end state when it's completed, processed, and so on. And so this is where you should put some thinking in how you want to structure that process.
What about the default value here? Let's just call out how that might work.
So the default value is whatever. This is another form of automation. Whenever a record's created, do we always start from the same spot? And if that's the case, let's provide that value. Let's pre-show that value upfront. So if you have a new return or not yet started, you just make sure that this is the default value. Just makes us work a little bit less in the database work for us. So we can see now whenever we create a new one, we already have half of the fields already created for us. Now the question is, what is a return? So what do we miss a link to our inventory. We have to link up to the products. And so like, I guess an order is going to increase the quantity of product we have. And the return should be doing the exact opposite. And that's the thing that I was mentioning. There goes your whole logic. When you're building the database of your application, whether it's order management or anything else, the whole logic is going to be expressed inside those relations. So a return, we are returning what? We're returning a product. And here the question, I think to simplify, it's going to be a product in this case.
Yeah.
But that little toggle here, allow linking to multiple records or not, that is the one thing where you should get familiar with. There are different cases. For instance, in a CRM, if you have a contact, maybe a contact that belongs to one company, like Alex, it works at 9x. But maybe 9x has multiple contacts. And so whenever you're going to create one of those fields, you're creating not one, but two, because on the other side, it's a relation between the two tables. If you create the field now and we go to the products table, we'll see that there is actually, we have also to define, can a product be linked to multiple returns? And here in this case, it makes sense, right? The same product can be, the same type of product can be potentially returned multiple times, which is going to decrease the inventory. And those are those settings, like basically there are different situations, different cases, but these are the things you need to pay attention to when you link, when you create those relationships between tables.
Yeah, fantastic. Now, question for you. Should we link related products here, or should we do a related order? And then I'll get out of here.
A return on the order?
Yeah, and then you return on their order and then products related to that order, maybe.
Yeah, why not?
So let's try that. We'll go a related record, and it's going to be on the
orders. Inherit that relation.
Yeah, related orders. And then from there, it's going to ask us, we want to add additional fields to look up here. And for that, we can add our products. Um, let's see. Do we want amount as well?
We can display it. Yes, let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's see how that comes in. So now with this, you see that these came in empty, but we need to select a related order that this relates to. So I'm just going to grab an order here. And then we see, all right, with this related order, here are
Yeah,
the products linked to that order and
yeah,
the, well, this was the amount of orders. Not quite what I was thinking for there. I was thinking amount in terms of currency, in terms of how much it
yeah,
costs, but that's fine too. You can see that if you can click into here, you can adjust the lookup field in this way,
yeah.
but we'll keep that for now. I think that's fine.
And what's the big advantage of the lookup field? So the rule in a database is you don't want to have copy paste. You want to avoid double data entry. So what you're seeing here is being displayed, but since you have the little magnifying glass, this means these are read-only fields because the data and the inputs here they belong to another table. And so the good news is if you make a change on that other table, this is going to be reflected here automatically. But typically, one rule of thumb when you're building databases is a data point should only be stored in one place. You want to avoid data redundancy. And here in this case, the amount, it belongs in that orders table, nowhere else. And if I want to see it, if I want to display it, maybe in my software app at user level, or customer level, or return level, I will look it up. I will not copy paste it. That's
Yeah,
one of the powers of databases.
right. And actually, that amount was the currency that I was looking for, so that did come in together nicely. So that's nice.
Yeah,
Um, Another thing here, so we have this return and it's related to this order and the
yeah.
amount to be returned. We have a status. Maybe we should add we have our description field of like what went wrong here of like these were spoiled to let our, uh, to let the supplier know that we ordered it from. And then maybe we should also have the customer, the supplier here as well,
Yeah.
to, show them in that way. So if I can add, let's see if I can add another lookup field here. So I'm going to go look up. Let's see if the supplier is on the related order. In that case, it would be the customer. So related, let's just say supplier here. And so now we see, okay, now this return is with sustainable bytes. We are going to be returning, this right here, and the related orders here, and it just came back spoiled. Um, I think that's good enough for now. I do want to call out that right here, this is a primary field, all right,
Yes.
and you can switch to different primary fields. I'm not sure if there's a best way that we want to do this. Like we could do like an auto numbering here. We could do like a formula to do like return request, like a unique identifier, or we can do something else. Do you have any suggestions?
So usually so this one is always a fun fun exercise. You have two constraints, yeah, and one that is an absolute must, and the second one that's a more nice to have, but
Okay,
it's quite important.
it's all good.
The constraint number one is that you need something uniquely identifiable.
Okay,
So that's why if you can put the date or an auto number, you want that.
okay,
The second one is going to be, can you make it human readable? Because if you, for instance, take a record identifier and so on, you will have, it will be difficult when we collaborate on the order ID, on the return ID, if we have a very, very long string of numbers.
yeah. Yeah. So right now, I'm just going to put the created date as our primary and delete the name for now. And then I did want to answer this question that we had from Phil. So some confusion around best case for lookup versus rollup. Alex, you want to answer this one? You muted still.
A lookup would be typically if you want to look up single values. A rollup is going to take that at another level if you want to summarize. So we showed before that you can link multiple records to the same record when we toggle that setting, allow linking to multiple records or not. So let's say you link a customer to multiple returns and you want to calculate the total amount of those cumulated returns. A lookup is going to paste all the amounts next to each other. With a rollup, you're going to be able to apply a sum. So you'll be able, what is the average return amount? We'll be able to that, or what is the total amount of the returns linked to this customer. So this is more, a rollup is for lists, and lookups, a rollup is for lists and you can summarize, and then lookup is going to just return individual values.
Yeah, well said. Well said. Awesome. So we're finishing up our return table here. And so we have our 5 tables, our users, our customers, orders, products, and returns. Now I can switch back into Softr interfaces here, and we see that we have a dashboard, products, customers, but I do want to create a new page for our returns. So I'm going to go into a page, create returns. I've created this new page. I'm going to go to my navigation now. And with the new navigation, you can choose how you want this navigation to appear. In that case, I'm just going to keep it on the side. I'm going to add a new primary section for this. It's going to be a page, and it's going to be returns. And then returns is going to show up there. And then maybe for this, we'll just show returns that way. And so now we're on our returns page. And I can click here to add a new block. And there's a couple ways that we can add blocks. With dynamic, that allows us to add blocks that are connected to our data, which is what we're looking for. Static blocks are more for like hero sections and all stuff like that. And I will show you a little bit of a cool hack here. So if I remove all of this, I can create a nice little banner that I can put up here. And I'll just grab like a office stock photo, something like that. And so I'll just grab this one right here. So I'll put a nice little banner up there, and I'll remove that button if I wanted to have a banner that way. And then beyond that, I'll add the block. And I could add like a list. I could add a grid. You know, if I want to start with a list and say, you know what, there's more information than that I want to display that can be seen good here, then I can always switch this to a different block and say, no, you know what, the table block actually works pretty well for this, right? And so I'm now clicked on my table block, my source, and I can go over to my table and click my returns table. And it's going to try and auto map as much as possible for us. So that's good. So we have returns. I want to call out conditional filters here. Conditional filters are really powerful to make sure that you're filtering the data that only belongs to the user that is logged in, or only the data that you want your user to see. Sometimes you don't need a conditional filter and you can show all data. And sometimes you only want the data to say, hey, where the creator is equal to the logged in user value or something like that. So especially when you're building an app that have multiple people signing into, conditional filters along with user groups and permissions allow you to create a very customized, personalized experience for that logged in user. So that way, if I log in as Alex, he will see some data. And I log in as JJ, I will see some other data, each specific to us, keeping it personalized and secure. So following up with this, we'll go over to our content and we'll start mapping these fields. And I can drag and drop these in a different order if I want. I can also add a title here for returns. I can get rid of that subtitle if I don't want that there. And so I'll go over here and I'll just start bringing together what I think is good in an order. So I'll say, let's start with our created date when that return was created. And we'll say created date here. And we can add a icon, or we could just remove an icon. And then next we can go description. Now with the description, we could say maybe this field is going to be a bit longer, so we can increase the column width in that way. So that's cool. We can also do some rich text formatting or anything like that. That's helpful. I like the status, and I do want to call out that right now the status is as a tag. You could switch it as like text, and you can see that the formatting is changing in that way. But I think the tag works well. I'm going to delete that though. And then over here, let's see what else we should do. We could say related products. We could say our supplier. So let's say supplier, and also let's do another tag for this, and we'll say supplier. I can make this a little bit smaller there. And then over here, we'll also do our related products that we're returning. And then related products. And then again, we'll do a tag here. I will make this, actually, that's fine. And then I'll go over here, related order. Let's see it. It's right over here. So it's going to be scrolling for this, but that should be fine. If we want related order, and I think that's doing pretty good there. I'm just going to go in and delete some of these icons because we're not going to use icons for this build. You could see if the icon is applied. Actually, sorry, no, you can't. That's just the field type, the text right there, the tag type right there. So that's looking pretty good. We also have our search bar here. And so our search bar by default is searching for the created date, which I don't think we really need. We could search by description. We could search by status. Why don't we also
Customer. It's
customer? Let's search by
and
customer
by
supplier
product.
and the product. So it's really easy to do a fuzzy search in that way. And then over here, we have some additional data that we can filter by. I don't think created by would work good, but we could do products. And let's see if that's going to be able to bring in. Products won't be able to because it's a lookup in that way. Let's see, we'll do status and it will automatically bring in all of those. And we say status, and then we'll just delete the second one. And so now we have ability for our search, our filtering, and viewing all of our returns there. And last thing I do want to show before we go into questions. Lewis is asking how we can have different statuses. So status colors. So if I have the status here, I can go in this little paintbrush icon and I can go into color palette and I could do different colors this way. Also as defined in source as well. I'll just do it this way as well so you can see different colors in that way. You can see that generally this app, the styles for this app has what we call not so much roundness. If you wanted to make all the app styles more round, you could do that as well and adjust other primary colors in our interface like that. So really easy to bring an interface to life. I do want to show one last thing though, Alex, which is an action button that allows us to create a return here and then sync it back to our database. That sound good?
Let's go. Yeah.
So this one, just like the others, it's not that bad. So we're going to go here. We're going to go to actions. We're going to go to action top bar, and we're going to say add record. Now this is going to be a new return. All right. And then we can add the fields that we want to be the user to input for. So we'll say description, related order, and status. All right. And then from there, we'll say add new return. And now when we go to preview this app, a couple things I want to call out here. So quick, how quick everything is loading with Softr Databases now. It's just a significantly more performant experience loading
It's
this
too
around.
fast. It's too fast.
It's as expected. Like you don't ever think that, hey, it's slow in any way. It just works as needed, right? So that's really awesome to see. And then if we go to our returns table here, we have this nice banner and we have our table here. If I wanted to search by our description, the search is coming up nicely. If I did have my different statuses, like in progress should show nothing, but not yet started should show this. So all that is coming up nicely. And then our new return here, we have our description, our related orders, and which if we pull in a related order, that's with the lookup field, it's going to fill in everything else for us and say, these didn't smell too good. We'll just go with that one. And then we'll say, you know what, this is not yet started. Even though we don't really need this field because by default, we've already chosen that this is going to be the status. But we'll create a new one there. Oh, no, we got an error. I think this is because of our linked record, but that's the curse of the demo. I'm not.
Because it's already linked to one order, or
I
for this one?
don't know. Let's see. I know. I don't know if that's the case. Could I have picked that same order?
No.
Cannot. I'm not sure, but we'll leave that there for now. Not quite sure what that one was, but it is super easy and the speed is there. Just quickly, for those that are new to Softr, this is a listing. And then if I wanted to like open a profile, this would be a side detail page. So the detail page allows you to see more details for a specific list. So in this list is our supplier, cultured eats. And then when we click into it, we show the detail block or the item details block that we called in Softr. which allows us to see more specific information about that details and the related orders in that way. So we have taken a template. We have understood the assignment in terms of understanding our data for this template. And then we added an additional table for this template using everything that we had built in here. And then we went back into our interface and we brought that data to life with a new interface, added action buttons for two-way syncing. So that way, within Softr interfaces, we can create a new return. And then if we wanted to create a new return in the database too, then it would also be shown here in a two-way sync. So I think we're doing pretty good, Alex. What do you think?
I think there was a pretty good demo. Think about, so for those of you who have not built with Softr yet, think about the speed it took, like the time it took JJ to come up with a new feature idea and actually roll it out. And it's like, for me, that's really the advantage of a platform like Softr is I don't think there's much faster if you want to implement a new feature, and also in an environment where you're still in control of your data. You have users who can log in. You can define different groups and permissions. Like, you have all the features, major features of what you want to have for an application, and at the same time you're in control, and you can build relatively quickly a new feature if you see that there's a need for managing returns, for instance.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
it was pretty good.
imagine your boss saying, "Hey, Alex, do you think you could just add a new returns experience to this application so that way we can process returns from the database interface?" And literally 30 minutes later, you say, "Here's the returns feature." Like that's what it was on this call, and we talked and explained it every step of the way. So, pretty cool. We'll answer a couple questions here if anyone has any questions, and then we'll finish this up. Again, the recording will be available on our YouTube channel. So if you want to play back anything, you could check it there. I was saying earlier about Softr Databases public API. It is now available, and we're going to be releasing more information about it this week. That will allow you to use any kind of automation platform, Zapier, Make, or whatever, to grab the data from the database and to modify it with any kind of automations, and then to update the database with that updated record in some way, and many other things. So this way, your data, while it is in Softr Databases like normal, we can also use any other automation platforms to modify this data, to use this data however you might want to in many different ways. So this, we are not going to send you this app. This was a Softr template that you can get yourself and then watch the recording to add a table like this, or to understand how this app is structured and whatnot. So hopefully that helps you there, Paul. A question here from Kai. Hey, Kai, that's our engineer. I appreciate you answering that. And he's actually the one building that feature, Kai. So Kai was asking, auto adding new records on copy and paste. And yes, Kai, one of our engineers, is working on making it so, say you have 50 records from Airtable that you want to copy into Softr Databases, but Softr Databases doesn't have 50 records, you copy and paste, and Softr Databases will automatically add the 50 records with all the values. Kai is working on adding that. And let me just say that our team is busy right now. We have so many updates coming in the next 4 to 8 weeks across the entire product, interfaces, databases, workflows. Everybody is hustling, doing a great job. You're going to continue to see Softr just go to new heights with the features that we're implementing and getting ready to release this summer. So really excited. Florian, we are looking at doing official nodes in NAN for, Softr Databases record is updated, Softr Database, all that kind of stuff. So we are looking to do it in NAN, Make, Zapier, and whatever other automation platforms make sense. That will be coming in the coming weeks as we continue to, get this production ready and expand the ecosystem a bit. But
and as soon as you have the API anyways, you should be able to do it in N8N, Make, and Zapier. So the nodes are more convenient and more user-friendly.
Yeah.
But the second the Softr database APIs are there, you can do it with an HTTP module from those platforms.
Yep, exactly. The Softr Databases does have a free tier, so you could totally use it in a free way. Softr Interfaces also has a free tier, so really hope you guys are enjoying all the updates here. Thank you for the lively chat. Alex, thank you for joining us, especially after a really busy week with Builders Club this week. An incredible conference that you guys did. Huge shout out to you guys for putting that on. Thank you for taking the time to help our community level up when it comes to databases. This recording will be on our YouTube channel after the fact. And again, thank you all to everyone for tuning in. And Alex, again, thank you.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
See ya.
Bye-bye.